Alright guys, first, I guess, YouTube video, how-to video. Never have done one before. Probably we'll have to edit it a number of times. But we're going to be doing the Summit third function kit install today. It was a really nice day out, early April. It's about, I don't know, 50-ish or so. Got a little bit of free time, so we're gonna try to get this installed. At least get it plumbed in. Maybe not the electronics or the electrical connections, but at least get it plumbed in and ready to go to run our grapple. You can see it's going on a Kubota MX5200. It's a 2019 model. Picked it up last November. Has the I'll show you guys. Has the BH92 backhoe, so we are utilizing the Power Beyond port already on the loader valve. When I purchased this kit from Summit, they had indicated, or I'd asked them if it would work with specifically a backhoe, frame-mounted Power Beyond backhoe, and they had indicated that it would. I know there's some information out there. The Land Pride kit may not work. You look on their website, it said it may or may not work. You have to contact them. I didn't go with the Land Pride, one, because of cost. This kit's about $300 cheaper, and also because the Land Pride kit claims that you cannot run the hydraulics continuously, which may or may not be a big issue for me. I don't know that I would have anything out there that would run continuously. I mean, the one thing that pops in my head is possibly an auger. But the Summit kit claims that you can run it continuously. And the big thing, I guess, is the heat that's created from the hydraulic fluid running through the valve. I'm not really well versed on how all that works, fluid dynamics and all that stuff. But, you know, those were the two main factors in selecting the Summit valve. It's a really nice kit. I'll show you guys, you know, what comes in it, and we'll go from there. I did lose the instructions because I had taken it out of the box and you know, read it over one night in bed before I installed and misplaced them, and they were kind enough to email me another set. So we'll get started and see how things go. All right, guys. Here's the kit. There's the reprinted instructions. Comes with everything you need. All the hoses, brackets, solenoid valves, quick disconnect couplings, fittings. Comes with the hoses there that would extend from the loader valve up to the front of the FEL. Also, you can see the valve there, pretty stout valve. Does have the new handle for the loader with the 2-position buttons, of course hardware and whatnot. So we will get started and see what happens. Alright, got the bracket installed. Bolts are long enough. Didn't think they were going to be, but they are. Not super keen. Looking at the pictures, I guess I must have missed this. Not sure how the Land Pride kit mounts, but I'll show you the valve here for this mounts like so. Not super keen on that because of the hoses, but I guess we'll see how it works. Feels like the hoses, two coming down. Obviously one is going to be Power Beyond, from the loader valve into our third function kit valve. 2 lines will run up supply and return to the front of the loader, and then one will go back to the block down below, or excuse me, not the block down below. One will go back to this guy here, which comes from the Power Beyond. from the loader valve. Apologize for any of the camera work. I'm not a cameraman. I'm never claimed to be, so if they're a little shaky or a little hard to see, apologies now. Alright guys, all done with the plumbing. All in all, pretty easy. Instructions leave a little bit to be desired. I possibly didn't get everything. I mentioned in the beginning that I had lost the original set of instructions because I had taken them out of the box to kind of read them before I started. I don't know that I got sent the entire set of instructions. I probably didn't ask for it. Probably the packing slip had a list of all the materials that were in the package, and they were numbered. As when you refer to the instructions, it has numbered hoses and parts and pieces. I was able to figure it out. It's pretty easy. If you know what you're doing, you're mechanical at any sort. I imagine you probably are. If you have a tractor, I would hope so. You should be able to figure it out pretty easily. Like I said, the plumbing, everything's there. If you have a backhoe, there is a note in the instructions that does indicate that you need to switch 2 of the hydraulic hoses around. In just a second, I'll show you which ones those are. I'll kind of run over everything. I'll start the tractor, show you how everything functions correctly. I do not have the electronics done yet, or the electrics done yet for the button at the top. I don't have the solenoid switches connected, but I'm going to finish that up here in a second. But I'll show you the hydraulics for now, and then we'll come back to the electrics. So give me 1 second here. We'll flip you around. Maybe. All right. Again, this is a Kubota MX5200. This kit is good for the entire MX series. In fact, on the top of the instructions, which I can show you here, you can see it's listed for the MX48, 52, 5800 with the 1065 loader. For also the 47 and the 51 with the 844 loader. Like I mentioned before, all in all, it was pretty easy to install. You can see the completed valve there. The quick disconnects, obviously, if you decide to remove the loader from the tractor at any point, it's easy to just pop those right off and the valve stays on the tractor. The 2 hoses that I mentioned earlier that had to be switched would be on the bottom here, the P and the T port. The P is the pressure side. That hose comes from the distribution block here. You can kind of see it. It's this hose here with the 90 bend in it. This is the supply to the loader valve. So this gets the stock hose gets removed. This hose goes on, and I would recommend not tightening as it shows in the instructions. I would recommend not tightening the fitting at the port here, which is this hose, until you have it routed correctly. Up and out of the way, obviously, for any place that you might be where obviously you could snag it on something in the woods or whatever. I did have to loosen this one, turn it out of the way a bit to get a wrench on the top fitting to get that tightened up. It wasn't too bad, pretty easy. So this, obviously, like I said, this is the pressure side. This hose, if you follow it up, comes up to the pressure port on the loader. This is the return or the T port on the block. This hose runs back up to the fitting here, which is the power, the in port on the loader valve. This obviously provides all the hydraulics to the loader. This is the valve or the hose that runs back to the backhoe. the power beyond port. If you have a backhoe, this would run back to the block down below. That would run back to this port, which dumps it back to the hydraulic tank. Obviously, this is the hose that's up there on the power beyond. Going back to my backhoe, this is the return port from the backhoe. And that's pretty much it. It's a fairly simple piping job. I will say, when you install this port, remove these two quick disconnects so you can get the wrench in there. If you don't, you're gonna have a hell of a time. But it's just, you know, pop these off and tighten it up. That's pretty much it. Everything functions as it should. Load her up. You know, everything works as it should. I'm not going to run the backhoe, but I'll just show you that these, you know, these guys still work here. Overall, pretty easy kit. Everything is O-ringed, which is really nice. There's no tape, Teflon tape or anything. So everything's got an O-ring. Connections are nice connections. Hoses are nice. Nothing's, you know, it's not cheap. It's all assembled and made in the United States and Arizona. Some hydraulics. The bracket up front, pretty easy to install. Again, O-ring fittings on everything. Nothing's leaking, so it's all good. The O-rings work good. I do have only one, not real complaint, but I guess suggestion would be to provide maybe the bracketry to mount these hoses. I have it right now connected to the brackets for the leveling rod. I'll probably purchase the brackets or make the brackets to connect these properly so they're not just connected by zip ties. I don't really trust the zip ties, but they're holding it for now, so we'll figure that out later. I'm sure there's brackets somewhere to purchase for those. And also, you can see up top, I do have it zip tied to the guard there for the other hydraulics for the loader. All in all, pretty simple install. You know, like I mentioned, everything went together really well. No major issues. Everything functions. Now it's just time to connect up the controls, and she should be good to go. And we'll be back at you after that. All right, guys. Got the electric complete. Got the new loader knob mounted on there. I got the buttons facing the operator side of the tractor. I kind of sat up in the seat and figured out what would be most ergonomic. I think moving my thumb from button to button would probably be the easiest. Down here to the valve, there is adjustments on there. I haven't touched it yet. I have not hooked up my grapple. The solenoid valve connections do have nice waterproof gaskets. They are screwed in place. Connection between the loader knob control and the wiring from the solenoid connectors is a nice weather tight automotive connection. I didn't take any pictures of, and it's up and under the hood now, but I didn't take any pictures of where I ran the power. I pulled a keyed source. I believe it was the keyed hot off the ignition. I have to go back and look at the wiring diagram to be specific. I found it over by the fuse box, which is on the other side. Pretty easy to figure out. Just pull it up. All in all, pretty easy install. I'm going to say I didn't really rush it. I kind of took my time. Probably 3 hours, I'm guessing, somewhere in there. I want to say maybe I started at 2:30. It's about 5 right now, but there was some time in between there messing with the kids and the wife. So, or maybe it's about 5:30 right now. It's probably 2.5, 3 hours. You had it in the shop and you weren't messing around and you didn't take phone calls for work and the kids didn't come out yelling and stuff like that, then probably get it done in 2 hours. I'm guessing it's not super difficult. Like I said, just pay attention to the connections. If you have a backhoe, if you do not have a backhoe, it's a difference in just how the T and the P port are piped. But all in all, actually pretty easy install. I do have one issue. My grapple does not have those connections. My grapple uses the skid steer style push and lock. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, if I'm going to switch over or I'll probably switch over on the grapple, not the tractor, since this is the Summit kit, and I want to make sure that everything with the Summit kit is the Summit kit, so there's no issues down the road. Like I said, these are O-ringed. I would imagine if I change those, I'd have to change the entire fitting rather than just spin on a new male and female connection onto the grapple. So there it is. I know a couple of you guys on some of the pages, MX page, maybe the Kubota page, I think, were asking about the Summit kit. There it is in a nutshell. My first video on ever made, not really instructional, but pretty simple. Mount the bracket for the valve itself here. You just pull the two lower bolts on the loader valve, mount the bracket up, reconnect the bolts and your lock washers, mount your valve. I will say on the valve I did, it does have some lock washers there, but I did use some Loctite, blue Loctite, just because I don't want that sucker coming loose if I'm working in the woods. Mount your valve, run your piping. Like I said, you're going to come off the top right port, which is the power beyond port on the manifold block below your hydraulic pedal, or your pedal if you're hydrostatic, or if you're sitting on the tractor, the right side of the tractor, that's where the manifold is. You're going to take the top right port, which is your power, which is a fluid out or power beyond port. That is going to run up to your new third function valve, to the pressure side, which is the P port. Out of that, you're going to run a new hose from the T side, which is the T port, to the inlet side of the power beyond on the loader. If you have a backhoe, this hose will run to your backhoe, and then you'll have another hose that runs back to the return port on the manifold down below. If you don't, then you're just going to have this hose that's not going to do anything. It's just going to run back to the return port if you just have the front end loader. But I have the backhoe, so it's set up like that. So pretty simple. I'll post again some reviews, I guess, that I have on it. We'll see how I have a Titan 72-inch Extreme grapple that I picked up last fall. Also bought the third function kit last fall. So we'll see how everything works together. And I'll let you guys know. Hopefully it works good. Everything functions, by the way. I did once I hooked up the electrics. I did run the buttons, even though I had nothing connected. I could tell that there was fluid running in these hoses because they were moving a little bit. The cool thing is both of these connectors here, both of these connectors have LEDs, so you can tell if you're getting power to that connector. So other than troubleshooting to make sure that your buttons are working and your valves are working, it doesn't really serve a function, but it's pretty nice to have that They did give you a pretty long lead, which I have tucked up under here. That's about it. Hope this helps you guys out, and yeah, if you got any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them as best I can. Take care, and happy tractoring.